Sorry. Okay, I remember. Um, just piggybacking to what you were saying about specialists having different opinions, and that happens a lot. You said spoiler alert, that happens all the time. By saying that, we can also tap into the politicization. How do you say that word? Politicization,
I think it's politicization. But we're
politicization.
both non-native speakers, so
I'm Brazilian.
we're doing our
He's
best.
Portuguese colonizer,
And
right? That was the joke. First episode, Portugal colonized Brazil.
a bunch of other nations.
Yeah, so he's my oppressor.
All right. Your blue-eyed oppressor. All right. Oppressor of your blue eyes, clearly very native to the continent of
Well,
America.
I'm part Syrian, part Italian, part Portuguese, part Brazilian.
So
I
you're
don't
part
even know.
oppressor. You just admitted it. You all heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Politicization of science, politicization of scientific articles. So I feel like there's a problem there because politics got involved in every single aspect of like society. Like it got into education, the educational system. It got into the big corporations. It got into the workforce. It like politics is everywhere nowadays, and it's hard to escape from politics. And that's another reason why I think there's so much division, because like in the past it was almost like unpolite to talk about politics. Like you kept your political views and political opinions to yourself unless someone asked you to express yourself on that subject matter. But it was almost unpolite to start a conversation with someone that you don't know about politics, you
Was
know?
it? I
And
don't know.
nowadays, like everything is about politics. Like you get in an Uber and your Uber driver says, "Hey man, you have to wear a mask." Or they say, "Hey man, don't worry about wearing a mask." And then as soon as you drop that mask, you start, "Yeah, man, like they did this, they did that, that was wrong, that
They
was
who?
right." And you inevitably you go into this conversation that ends up tapping into political aspects and political subjects. So
Like what? Which ones?
there's no escape. Well, I mean, how certain states, let's say, maneuvered and and and
You can say it
to,
in Portuguese.
yeah, I was thinking Portuguese. Um,
For most international viewers.
no, I'm just yeah, I'll cut that part. It's fine. So I won't be like no, just like how certain states or certain governments dealt better with COVID regulations, or didn't have so many regulations, or if someone should get vaccinated or shouldn't get vaccinated, or our COVID tests, like at the time when COVID tests were going on like crazy, everybody had to take a COVID test for anything, or those subjects that were very controversial, and there was a lot of backlash. There was a lot of conflict between people. You know what I'm saying? Those kinds of subjects. I'm
Yeah,
not saying
I
about
mean,
anything specific. I'm
I
just saying that, and I'm using all that as examples. I'm not saying that this thing was right, this thing was wrong. I'm just saying that anything leads to a political statement or a political opinion, you know, and people are trying to. It's almost like people, when you start a conversation with someone, people are trying to figure out like which side are you on, like if you agree with certain topics, or if you disagree with certain topics, then people will automatically label and put you on one side or put you on one tribe, or they will judge you morally for being uh, pro something or against something. Like sometimes even like um, topics like freedom of speech, it's controversial nowadays. Like, what is freedom of speech? To what point we can allow freedom of speech? Should we regulate speech?
mhm.
Should we create regulations and legislation on hate speech? Who regulates hate speech? Who are we giving that power to? Who defines hate? who defines what all that is, you know. So that kind of stuff, things that shouldn't be controversial are becoming more and more controversial because
Right.
people are,
Well, I
you know.
understand what you're trying to say.
And I'm being very general here. I'm not,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because we're
So,
not talking about anything specific. It's just
yeah,
like
but like there, I
things that
think
contribute to that polarization that you were
right.
talking about earlier, you know.
I think that there's layers to what you just said.
Of
Like
course, yeah,
the
yeah.
political layer overlaps, but it does not make or break the for example the science layer. You know, things just get topics might get hijacked and might be used and might be leveraged.
Right.
But if you cut through the noise, then you're gonna actually see the science, the research, all
Yeah.
these things that you're supposed
But
to
you
be
can't
the
deny that
foundation.
politics got involved in science too.
Yeah, but think about like the first remark I was gonna make. It was like even saw an MMA guy doing this. If you're not involved in politics, you're doomed to be ruled by people who are dumber than you. Which is
Okay.
it's an interesting quote and kind of makes you think. Like, yeah, I mean, if you're totally devoid of the people who the process of the people who are ruling over you, nothing is filtering who's going above you, and it just becomes like this thing where you have no say, you have no voice. But this is more on the philosophical level almost,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we all know that running for office is almost
Because not everybody
it's a
can be a
popularity
politician. Yeah.
contest. A lot of people can, but it's a popularity contest. You vote on people based on character,
Yeah,
and you don't.
basically.
And
That's how it's been in Brazil. Like you've seen
but
literally
all over the world,
clowns getting elected.
all over the
Clowns,
world,
like
what
people that
the
used to be clowns and had no experience in the political realm, had no education whatsoever. You know, like they literally became famous with this one stupid song that they made, and they were comedian. They were like comedian dudes or whatever. Like they had no experience
But so what?
whatsoever,
So what? You have anything against clowns?
and they
One.
got elected and didn't do shit. You know, I'm saying
Okay,
I'm not
now.
saying that someone from that background
Yeah.
can't get elected and do great things, but what are the chances? You know what I'm
Democracy for the people by the people. It sounds to me like that clown is the people. So, or part of the people, right?
Okay.
So,
Do you think he's going to be a good representative
well, that's
if he's
another.
not knowledgeable enough? At least knowledgeable, at least like an intelligent person. You know.
Well, it's like, for example, if you take the president of the United States, right?
Right.
Most politicians and most people who are in the top seat of any country, the more knowledge they have personally, the better. Like
Right,
knowledge
right.
is power, obviously. But then they're supposed to be surrounded by a team of people who know what they're doing, who are specialists in their field of governance. And then it boils down to the character and the judgment of the leader to take that information and say yes, no, right? That's kind of like what the president does ultimately. We put a lot of power into it,
You
but
know.
it becomes like, we should not put children in cages. I don't care what the immigration problem is. We should not drop bombs somewhere. I don't care. I don't want to go to war. Or I do want to go to war. I don't care what the other strategies are. It becomes like
Like
he
the
has
movie
veto power.
Gladiator.
Exactly.
The
Exactly.
emperor
The
goes.
movie, Romans,
Yeah.
right? Like the actual history.
Yeah.
Which is that a historical? Maybe that's a debunked thing. Like we think that's actually a thing that the emperor.
And he
used to
goes
do.
like this,
Yeah.
and
It
then
will
if he
decide
goes
your
like this, you're
fate.
supposed to kill your
You're supposed to. Yeah.
adversary. If he goes like that, he's
We all
spared your
seen the
life.
Gladiator. But you know what I'm saying. So again, it circles back. Like you can't be an expert in everything, and a prime minister or a president needs to oversee a bunch of things. But that's why they have departments and they have the ministries and they have the this and they have the that. And hopefully you'll put people there that it might be the same idea but a different layer. So now you have a president of the department who's also not an expert, but he's surrounded by the experts. So he becomes like
Right.
a filtering even at
So
that
who's
level.
actually running what? You know, are the experts running behind the scenes, behind the curtains?
You would hope so, but
You know?
but then you get into like the spheres of influence and policies and politics. I mean, and like the parties and who gets promoted versus who competence versus like networking.
Right.
And networking is undeniable. Like we
But
live
see-
in an industry that's all about the networking. It's about who you know. Like
Exactly. I was gonna say that now. Like you can compare, you can apply everything you're saying to Hollywood, for example. You know, not the most talented people make it to the top. You know,
yeah,
basically.
but that's how the world works.
You
And that's a
know?
hard truth or hard pill to swallow. Also, the good people who deserve to be. Hopefully, they will make it far.
Yeah.
But the tippity top is its own. The
Because
talent is
there's
only
limited
like a
space.
fraction. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You know, like
Get out of
And
his way.
also the monopoly of markets. You know what I'm saying? Like, we could have many Hollywoods out there,
Yeah, there's one called Bollywood.
but
Maybe we've heard of it.
yeah, but it's not really popular around the world. It's not.
What?
It's not
No, around the world, but it's popular for a huge
in
chunk
India.
of the
Yeah.
world population.
Well, yeah. A lot of people.
Yeah, how many people live in
So
India? Like close to 1 billion?
yeah, it's the second largest country in the world,
Exactly.
in terms of population.
Hmm.
But yeah. No, I'm not saying that there aren't other institutions like Hollywood out there, but I'm saying like Hollywood is the most the one that influences the rest of the world the
Yeah, the
most. I would
most.
say
Yeah.
like
Culturally. For
culturally,
sure.
yeah, for sure, because Hollywood movies are everywhere.
Mhm.
Bollywood movies
Not so
are
much.
only on Netflix. There's like a one row that is
Just dedicated
dedicated
to
just
Bollywood.
for
Interesting.
Bollywood movies. Talking about movies, you like my mustache? It's like uh, Lieutenant Aldo Range from do you know that movie Inglourious Bastards?
Oh yeah, I just didn't know the lieutenants
Does that look like
by
him?
name.
I'm just kidding. Uh, that was like a parenthesis
Right.
to talk about my mustache. Anyways, yeah, man. I'm just saying, like, there's sort of like uh, um, a proclivity to that monopoly in every
I
in
mean,
every in every market that
yeah, in every
exists.
industry, like you're gonna
Every
be
industry.
the people who dominate the industry by market share or by the size
So
of their
it's like
companies or by
it's like the trend in the Silicon Valley was to create an app that was good enough so you could sell it to the big ones. You
right.
know, so there was no competition anymore. Like if you did that, you were a big shot. Oh, I sold an app to Google for millions of dollars, and I'm set. That's what I do. Like, people don't create their own stuff to like compete against Google, let's say.
Or no, what you're saying is Google didn't create a separate platform to compete against what they saw. They just bought it out, and
Yeah, let's
they
say I
own
create an
it.
app
Yeah, instead of.
that competes with Uber, let's say.
Hmm.
And instead of developing that app to be a competition in the market against Uber, I'm just gonna go to Uber. Hey, you want to buy my idea? I'm giving you an
Yeah.
example.
I mean,
So that was the thing in the Silicon Valley, like people selling
right,
ideas to the big ones.
to whoever wants to
So
pay
it
the biggest
creates that
price.
monopoly.